Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. I make videos about interview preparation, HR questions, and how I got selected for the major IT companies. If you find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Hello everyone. So I recently participated in the campus placement by Accenture at my college, and I would like to share my experience with it. Okay, at my campus, Accenture came for two profiles. One was Associate Software Engineer offering 4.5 LPA, and the another was Advanced Associate Software Engineer offering 6.5 LPA. So I'll be now describing the procedure and the various interview processes. Make sure to watch this video till the end, and I'll be giving one pro tip in the end. Okay, so as for the procedure, it's basically, divided into 3-4 parts. The first is the cognitive and the technical assessment. In this, basically, it's of 2 parts. First, it consists of 90 MCQs. There are various topics which I'll be mentioning later on in this video. And 90 questions are to be done in 90 minutes. They are all MCQs, and there's no negative marking, and if and only if you pass the certain cutoff in this particular test, then only you're proceeded to the next section, which is the coding round. So this coding round and the MCQ part total makes the whole assessment. Next step is the communication assessment, and the last step is one interview round. Okay, now I'll be describing the cognitive and the technical assessment a little more in depth. Like I mentioned, it has MCQ questions, and there are 90 questions to be done in 90 minutes. Although the level of questions was not difficult, but yes, there's a lot of time constraint, and doing 90 questions in 90 minutes can be a task. So make sure that you have a good practice, you know how to manage your time, and you can easily speed up your solving and everything. So you should have a good practice about that. As for the coding challenges, it had 2 questions which had to be done in 45 minutes, and the level was easy to moderate. It was easy. I'll be discussing the topics of the coding challenges later in the video. So for the part 1 of the technical assessment, like I mentioned, it had MCQs from mainly 6-7 topics. English ability, critical reasoning, all your quant section, maths till the class 10th, and the next was abstract reasoning, all the logical reasoning, find the common pattern or find common shapes, something like that. Applications of MS Office and pseudocodes. I personally felt like this was the most toughest section of the whole assessment, the pseudocode part, because I guess there were 18 questions given, and the codes were quite lengthy, and to find, to take the variables and to find what will be the output can be a task. So make sure that you save time for this particular section, and speed up in the rest of the other sections. And the next section was the networking, security, and cloud, a very basic general networking based questions. So the distribution of the MCQs is given on the slide. You can see it from there. About this particular round, this was an elimination round. Like I've mentioned earlier, you need to cross a particular cutoff to reach to the coding section. There's one thing good about Accenture examination is that only this particular part is the elimination round. Rest all other rounds are non-elimination. Yes, it was a bit surprising for me also, but they are not elimination rounds. What Accenture does is they take the cumulative of all the rounds in the end, and then they declare the results. Also at my campus, Accenture did mass hiring, so I believe that they were not really looking to eliminate people. Just this particular part was a little crucial. Rest all were very easy as compared to this part 1. Also, navigation is allowed amongst all the sections, so you can manage your time accordingly. And like I mentioned earlier, there's no negative marking. So even if you're running low on time, just it's my advice to mark at least all the 90 questions. You never know what happens, and luck strikes, and you may land up in the next section of the coding. So I try to attempt all the 90 questions. Okay, so as for the part 2, it's a coding challenge round. It's a non-elimination round. No matter how you perform, you will, land up in the next round. But don't take it lightly, because like I mentioned, they take the cumulative of all the rounds. And, coding is an essential part to get selected at an IT company. So I think if you don't perform very well, you might get offered a lower profile or no profile at all. So try and attempt both the questions. Personally, I found that the questions were very easy as compared to what other companies were, giving in their examinations. The topics were from arrays and strings only. I won't say that they were very, common questions. The questions were, quite different of what you can find on the internet, but yeah, they were doable. If you know array strings properly, you have a decent command over them, I think you are good to go. So about 2 days later, or maybe 1.5 days later, after this particular round, I got a mail from the hiring authorities, and they mentioned about the communication assessment. It's a pretty different and a new type of assessment as compared to what other companies are taking. Basically, first of all, no need to, worry, and no need to get scared about this. It's just an English assessment. They basically test all of your English aspects in this round. That ASL assessment that we used to give in schools, if you have given it, it was a part of the CBSE curriculum. So basically in this, they are about 6 sections. I'll be, describing them now. First is the reading section. What happens, like, you have to join the test, and they check your mic and everything first. And in the first section, about 7-8 sentences are given, and you have to read them aloud, so that your microphone records them. And so they basically they check your reading ability here, and like your pronunciation and everything. Second is the listen and the repeat section. In this, they are basically checking your listening skills. The computer or the video, says one sentence, you have to listen it, and they give you time to repeat it. So again, about 5 to 10 questions, sentences are like this. You have to listen, and then you have to repeat. Don't worry, a lot of time, everything is given, and it's a very smooth procedure. It's displayed that now you can start speaking, or you have to stop now, the recording has stopped, everything is mentioned. To help you all, I'll link down one video in my description below, which is basically the whole recording of this particular section. So you can just have a look at it, and you will know like what happens in this round. Okay, the third section is the one-word questions and answers. In this, what happens is like they ask very simple questions, and you have to just reply in one word. For example, they'll give you like, which of them is a liquid, water or stone? So that water is liquid, so you have to reply water, just that. So they'll ask you a question, give you 2 or 3 options, and you have to reply in one word. Basically this round is testing your presence of mind. Okay, the fourth is the jumbled sentences. A sentence is broken down into 3-4 parts, and it's given in a jumbled format. You have to say that sentence in a proper format. You have to say that out. The microphone will record it. The next section is the story retelling. This is a slightly difficult section, because in this the recorder speaks out one story, which about 10-15 lines, not 15, I think 10 lines, a very random story, like meet this guy, he was doing this, something like that. So just listen it properly, and you have to repeat this particular story in your own words. So one tip for this, since all these assessments, they are being judged through a machine learning, so try to pick on the keywords from the story. For example, the name of the characters, or whatever place they are visiting, or whatever equipment, like he was traveling in a car which was white in color, so here the keywords would be a car and white. It was a rainy day, so pick out the word rainy. For example, I had some story related to an airport and the timings of the flight, so just pick on those particular things. You can note them down also, but it totally depends on you. I personally, found it difficult to note it down because the story narration is quite fast. So yeah. Next is the open question. It's just like very basic. They'll provide you with one topic, and you have to speak about that topic or that particular question for 1 minute or some 30-40 seconds. For example, the questions can be like, what is one thing that you think the teenagers should focus on nowadays, or offline or online working environment, some very basic random topics. So you just have to speak. Again, for all these type of rounds now, wherever your voice is getting recorded, just try to speak slowly and properly, and try to use big words, good words, and the keywords. They focus on that, because what happens, the machine learning picks up those words and judges your assessment based on that. So try to use good words, try to use like although, I believe that, because, and something like that. You can include everything. Like for the teenagers question, you could have said time management and lowering down the time of social media. Here the keywords are social media, time management, such things. Okay. Then after this particular round ended, I think approximately 2 days later or 3 days later, I got the mail that I have my interview scheduled for the next day. There's one more very good thing about Accenture is that they give you, the ability to choose your own slots. For the test also and for the interviews also. Like I was given some 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and I had to pick any of the 15-minute slots. So it's according to your own comfort. So there's one good thing about that. So after the slot confirmation, I got the mail that I had my interview. In my opinion, the interview rounds are very easy. I think the main hurdle in this particular procedure is just the initial assessments, the MCQ rounds and the coding rounds. After that, the process is very smooth and easy. So I particularly found the interview process to be the easiest of all. So in this round, I had just one panelist, and the interview lasted about 15-20 minutes max. So it's a combined interview round wherein they ask you questions about both technical and HR. So when I joined the meeting, the guy asked me, to introduce myself, which I did. And then he, jumped to my projects. He asked me like what all my domain is, like what all tech stack I work on and what all projects have I made. So I mentioned those, like 3-4 good projects. Then he asked me questions about those, like when did I make them, and were they a team project or an individual project, questions like those. He asked about the tech stack of each one of them and all the learnings. About the learnings, try and mention like 2 aspects of the learnings. First is on the personal level and on the, personality level, like you became more confident about your skills and, you learned how to manage teams, things like those. You can mention those. And in technical terms, like for example, I made one project in Angular. So I mentioned that through this project, I got the opportunity to learn about Angular and about TypeScript. So include both the aspects about any project. Also, then the interviewer asked me like if I'm still working on any of the projects or if I have any plans of improvements. So again, a tip, all these questions, the interviewer is not interested like about the updates of your project. He's not concerned about your project. He just wants to know how you are as a person. So try and say that yes, I'm still working on it or I'm planning to improve it. It shows that you have that zeal inside you to make yourself better and make things around you better. Then he asked me about my strengths and my weaknesses. I know that mentioning strengths is easy, but when it comes to weaknesses, do not and never say things that like I'm too good at this, or I'm a perfectionist. Never say all these things. They look very boastful and all. Try and be very real with your weaknesses. Like, I find time management difficult, or I find it difficult to say no to people, things like that. So always try and mention things that you're willing to overcome for your weaknesses. Okay, then he asked me about my least favorite subject. Two to three tips for this. First of all, I saw some guy's interview on the YouTube channel that he mentioned that he does not like computer science or some very core subject. Please do not mention such subjects. If you're applying for an IT job, I hope, and the interviewer also hopes, that you like all this and all the coding part. So don't go and say that you hate data structures, or you hate C++, or oops. Don't say that. Take on subjects which are very less relevant. For example, I used environmental chemistry, or something like that, which you have in your first year or the first semester, which are very irrelevant to your main course. So try and pick up on those subjects. And okay, so then he asked me that why do I want to join Accenture. See, again, a very typical question. So in this, the answer is usually twofold. First, you have to mention down all the benefits or all the advantages that you will have by working in this company. And secondly, you have to mention all your skills that make you a good, candidate for this company. It's like Accenture needs me and I need Accenture. Okay, then he asked me if I had any questions. Again, always try and ask something from the interviewer. Never say that, no, I don't have anything to ask. It looks very rude and you look very non-interested. So, go and ask something very basic, like working environment, or his or her personal experience in the company, anything like that. Never, refuse to ask anything. Okay. After, I guess, 1 or 2 weeks, the results came out, and the verdict is that I got selected for the advanced ASE profile, offering 6.5 LPA. So, yeah. Any pro tip? First, like I've mentioned, I think the first technical assessment is the main hurdle. So, be prepared for it, and try and attempt as many questions with as many correct answers, and just overcome that, because rest all of the rounds are non-elimination rounds, and they take a cumulative. Also, for Accenture, do and try to test the platform that they give you for your examinations, because what happened in my college, that a lot of students faced issues running that particular software on their laptops, and they ended up missing the assessment due to that. So always try and test the particular software on your laptops a day prior to your assessment. I think the one key to crack any of the interviews is be confident, and be confident about your own skills and about yourself. It really puts you in a good light. So I hope that you make it here also, and all the best. If you have any questions, I put them down in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. Okay, bye-bye.